All right, now let's shift to talking about slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines. Okay, parallel lines never, I'm gonna actually make this thicker here so you know. Parallel lines never intersect. They never intersect. Okay, parallel, the symbol we use for that is this. Well, I'm going to put it in parentheses. Parallel. Parallel. We use two slash symbols like that to indicate parallel. Instead of just writing that whole word, we can just use that symbol. But parallel lines, they never intersect. They kind of look like that, don't they? Parallel lines have the same slope. Interesting. They have the same slope. Okay, what else? Well, here are some examples. Example. Why don't we look at this? Y equals 3x minus 7 and y equals 3x plus 1. Well, what can we say about these lines? These lines have the same what? M, right? They have the same, these lines are in slope-intercept form. We can see the slope, it's right there, it's 3. They have the same slope, so therefore we know that these lines are parallel lines. Parallel lines, that should be dotted. Okay, perpendicular lines. So how do we use that symbol? It's just like this, perpendicular lines. It's an upside down T. Perpendicular, okay? Instead of writing that whole word, we can just write the symbol. It means perpendicular, okay? So perpendicular lines, they intersect. They intersect at a right angle. You know what a right angle is? It's like this. Basically, oh, it's not that. Definitely not that. It's like this, and then like that, best I can draw, and then you got the little thing indicating a right angle. But that's how they intersect. One line's like this, one line's like that. Now here's the tricky thing maybe for you, but you need to remember this. Okay, they have, perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. What does that mean? Okay. Well, negative reciprocal slopes means that you take like 2/3, the negative reciprocal of 2/3, okay, would be, well, first you make it negative, and then you flip it. What was on bottom goes on top. What was on top goes on bottom. That's called taking the reciprocal. So -3/2. So if the slope of one line is 2/3, then the slope of the line perpendicular to it is -3/2. Here's an example. These lines, y equals 2/3, actually I'm going to write this fraction bar like that, 2/3 x plus 5, and then y equals -3/2 x minus 4. Okay, these lines are perpendicular lines. Why is that? Because they have negative reciprocal slopes. Look at that, 2/3, -3/2. Taking negative reciprocals is something you're going to need to practice. All right, let's do some exercises. Find the slope of the line parallel to each given line. Here's what you need to do. First, put the line in slope-intercept form. Okay. So what do we have to do? Well, first we need to take this y. It's all by itself already, so that makes it pretty easy, actually. I'm going to zoom in on this. Okay. So we're going to add y here and add y here. So y goes off of this side. Actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a good idea. Sorry, I don't know which way. I mean, there are multiple ways to do this, and this is the way I'm going to do it. So you got 3x, just to keep things positive, okay? 3x equals 3 plus y. And then what we're going to do is take that 3 away. And then we have 3x minus 3 on this side equals y. So another way you can write that is just y equals 3x minus 3. So when they ask find the slope of the line parallel, well, what should your brain be doing? Parallel, it should be going, oh, same slope. Okay, well, what is the slope of the line parallel? Well, it's just simply whatever the slope of this line is. It's the same slope, okay? So m equals 3, all right? That is the slope of any line parallel to this line, okay? I could draw that line. It could look like that, and then I'll draw a line right above it, assuming it's parallel, perfectly parallel, never intersecting. These two lines have the same slope, even though maybe they're in different spots on the coordinate plane. Let's look at the second one here. First, we got to get this in slope-intercept form. Why don't you try it? Okay, first I'm going to take this 5x, I'm going to subtract it from this side so I can get the y term by itself on one side. 6y equals 8 minus 5x. I'm going to actually shift that around, negative 5x plus 8, so it's all ready to go in slope-intercept. Divide by 6 each term, remember, dividing one side by a number is the same as dividing every term on that side by the number, so now we can cancel out the 6's. We got y equals negative 5/6 x plus 8 over 6, which reduces to 4 over 3. Okay, so now what is the slope of the line parallel? Well, first we need to look and find and know what the slope is. The slope is negative 5/6. So the slope of the line parallel to this line must then be the same. Negative 5/6. Because it's parallel. All right. Let's move down here. Find the slope of the line perpendicular to each given line. Well, what was perpendicular? Well, they have negative reciprocal slopes. So negative reciprocal, what was that? We take the negative and then we flip it. So let's try that, okay? So this, fortunately, is already in slope-intercept form. So I can see the slope right now in number 1. Can you? All right, the slope in number 1 is 5/2. It's not 5/2 x. Nope, it's just 5/2, the number in front. So what is the negative reciprocal of 5/2? Well, we're going to take 5/2, then we're going to make it negative, and then we're going to flip the 2 with the 5. So 2 will go on top, 5 will go on bottom. And that right there, friends, that is the slope of the line perpendicular to this line. So if I graphed this line and it looked something like this, okay, and it went up like that, well, then this line right here, the slope of this line would make this line intersect somewhere perfectly perpendicular to that line right there. See, parallel, perpendicular. How about this one? You try it. First, identify the slope. Slope is negative 3x. Wrong. It's actually just the number in front. Remember? Okay. So now that we know that, what is the negative reciprocal of a whole number? Well, first, here's how you do the reciprocal of a whole number. You just put it over 1, and then you flip it. But first, we need to take the negative of a negative. How do you do that? Okay, so you start out with negative 3. How do you take the negative of a negative? Well, it'll be negative 3 over 1. So we're just going to do a double negative, which is a positive. So we're going to make it positive, and then flip the 1 with the 3. Positive 1/3. third. So that is going to be our slope for the line perpendicular to this line. And it would look something like that if you were to graph the two lines.